Meet Haku, an orphaned loser. First, he was left by his mother, who was gone to buy milk. Then he was thrown away by his foster parents after getting abused like a servant. If this was not enough, his girlfriend and the only person who supported him was kidnapped by mysterious forces. For finding her out, Haku was ready to sell his soul to the devil, getting a mask in return with so much power that he can even rule the universe. The story begins in an ominous desert, where the crimson moon was shining brightly onto a young man with white hair and a strange-looking mask. But we see that the man was completely covered by some kind of a golden and black armor and was panting, not able to breathe properly. It was because his whole body has been cut in two halves and only his upper part was moving somehow, while leaving a trail of blood, signifying how horrible the people who did it were, or perhaps they were monsters. The man was crying in pain while screaming that no matter how many years pass, even thousands or billions, the one who will inherit the mask once again in the distant future should master the mask once again and defeat the creatures who were actually the reason for this condition. Meanwhile, as the time passes by, we see a boy of similar hair complexion who was crouching in a library, writing something with insane speeds and intense focus. He was not having a care in the world, but the man which was shown in the past was already slain by these monsters who were clearly looking like they should not be messed with. The mask contained multiple eyes as the boy cried all over them, but it was giving off a mysterious but powerful vibe. On the other hand, we come to the modern times in a museum in London, where we see the boy in the library who was bullied by some boys, telling them that he looked into the information because they asked him to do it. We come to know that this group of students was bullying the boy, while they were breaking into the museum in the middle of the night. They got into the masks section of the museum, which was full of terrifying yet powerful-looking masks, while these people started screaming at the white-haired boy, asking him about where the mysterious being was. According to the legends, he would appear in the museum on that day being called the Masked Count. But suddenly, a girl turned towards the bullies, getting annoyed and telling them that it was just an urban legend. We come to know that the girl was named Miriam, and the white-haired boy is named Haku, who was asked by the girl about what kind of urban legend the Masked Count was. Haku started explaining that according to the books, the Masked Count was a faceless man who was alive for millennia, and it had an ancient mask which was looking for a successor. The inheritor of that mask will gain inhuman strength, but those who can't inherit it are devoured by them instead, and die a really painful death. The Masked Count had only one purpose. He wanted to find suitable people for his mask. Hearing that, the girl started smiling, while calmly stating a fact that this story was just urban legend fodder and that Haku had wasted his time for 3 nights and 2 days just for this little story, and the bullies were actually just using the little Haku to find some baseless urban legends so that they can upload it to the internet and print money. Haku was not able to sustain such high damage, realizing that he had been figured out by the girl from top to bottom. He nervously told the girl that this has nothing to do with her, but still he was sorry that she had to come. But Miriam just turned around, telling Haku that she can't just stand seeing the boy getting bullied by them. Suddenly, one of the bullies came towards Haku, having a selfie stick in hand and declaring that the Masked Count was all fake, and Haku was lying to them. Not able to even protect himself, the boy is just nervously told the bully that he will do better next time, but the brat was not ready to leave, telling him to just get attacked and die if he can't be useful to them, because he was useless now and no one would want to be with him if Haku was not even able to find out one proper urban legend. But this made Miriam infuriated as she started turning towards the bully and telling him that he talks too much. She started going towards the man, smiling while looking at him from head to toe, realizing that the bully was spouting this nonsense because he was just scared. From the situation, wondering about what he would do if the urban legend would actually come, the bully was completely exposed, not able to control his anger, telling Miriam that she should not get cocky because she was just a self-proclaimed protector. Hearing this, the girl backed down, telling the bullies that she was just stating that truth. But on the other hand, Haku was getting sad, because Miriam had seen his uncool side once again. But the boy snapped back into reality when Miriam asked him about when the masked count was going to come out. Haku replied that he should come out soon, because it always appears when the red moon is at its zenith. And it was always said that the masked count will emerge to wear the ancient mask so that he can be powerful. Hearing about the ancient mask, the girl started looking all around, wondering if the Museum of Masks was holding the key to this legend somehow. She started pointing fingers towards all the masks, but Haku knew that some of them were made by the Mayan civilization and were also used in the ancient Roman theater. The museum also contained some Japanese no masks. But suddenly, as Miriam pointed fingers towards a direction, Haku was shocked, looking at a broken mask which was giving off an ominous feeling. With the same bird feathers which we saw a few moments ago, it was as if the mask was staring at Haku, asking him to wear it. But it was already slashed in halves, and Haku wondered about what it was. But he apologized to Miriam, realizing that he did not even know about the origin of this mask. The girl started smiling, quoting a line from the book she read, that knowledge is a form of self-sacrifice, which people do to avoid loneliness. And the boy was doing the same. Hearing that, Haku started smiling, realizing that it was true, but it was still fine. Because even if the boy get hurt or used, he can bear it all. Haku remembered his past when he was always abandoned and started crying because he did not want to end up alone. But now that he was hanging out late at night and chatting about some dumb urban legends, he was still enjoying it, and just being with the girl makes Haku really happy. This made the girl blush like crazy, but seeing her, Haku was mesmerized while trying to hide what he really meant, wondering about who says cheesy stuff like that. But still, he continued that he just wanted to be with the lady. But suddenly, their few moments of happiness came to an end, as Haku saw an ominous face which was lurking behind Miriam as it was smiling like a devil. Shivers ran through the spine of the boy as he still somehow moved and protected the girl from the clutches of the evil face, while wondering about what it was. Even the strange face was confused by the story of the masked count, but as he had been listening to the story from a long time, even the devil enjoyed it. But as the face was talking, Haku and Miriam, on the other hand, were completely terrified by this ominous presence of someone who was reeking of danger. As the face completely materialized into a human body, we see that the creature was disappointed because no one in the museum looked like they had the strength to wear his mask. But as dumb as they were, all the bullies started smiling, thinking that the strange man was the masked count, and now they will be recording the creature. They were still not ready to let Haku go, asking him to hurry up and die, but the devil already heard them, smiling at the thought of it and telling them that instead of the white-haired boy, one of the bullies was going to be the first. The monster immediately came towards one of them, while he wondered about what mask will suit the ugly face of the bully. Suddenly, the monster took out an even uglier-looking mask made by strange hands and made the bully wear it. But as soon as the mask touched the face of the human, he started getting ignited like a human torch, completely getting burned into crisp by the overpowered abilities of the mask. The devil acted all surprised, telling everyone that he did not even expect that the mask was so powerful that the human will become a real roast. But he still had one test subject, and suddenly the red cap bully was also given a mask as he was struck into the place he was standing due to the fear of getting killed. But his death was not too agonizing because he just turned completely into sand and dropped down onto the ground, not even able to see his death properly. Meanwhile, the masked monster was not able to understand about why this was happening. But he was not stopping because he was enjoying this baseless killing too much. He already knew that mere humans can't even handle the power that his masks possessed. But still, he did it for the fun of killing, wondering about what effect the overpowered mask would have on them. But suddenly, the monster turned around, looking towards both Haku and Miriam, telling one of them that they were the real deal. Just then, we see a really terrifying face of the monster who was having his whole tongue out like a maniac while he smiled, announcing to the both of them that he was really happy because he had waited for this moment for so long, and this night he was going to finally achieve what he longed for. The monster was happy that he finally got to meet his friend after thousands or even billions of years later, because he had been looking for the inheritor of one of his masks for a long time. As the creature took out his long tongue and grabbed Miriam by her chin, telling her that it has been a while. Sheer horror struck into the mind of Haku, while he was not able to comprehend about what he should do. Even the girl was not able to digest the fact that the monster was talking to her. But just then, she was grabbed by her face while the monster was chanting some kind of spell and told the lady to wake up into her true form. Multiple jolts of electricity started gathering inside the mind of the lady, while it was as if she remembered something, and it made her faint. After screaming, which shattered all the mirrors of the museum. After this immense show of strength, the girl collapsed onto the hands of the monster while he smiled, telling the boy that they were finally going home because there were no masks which suited the girl, and it would not be sufficient for her. But as the monster turned around and started going away, he was grabbed by Haku through his suit, while the boy asked the monster about where he was taking Miriam. But instead of answering, the creature just got annoyed, throwing Haku several meters away as he rolled and slammed onto one of the walls of the museum, not even able to stand even when he wanted to save the love that he admired. He was not able to do so because of an overpowered enemy. After a while, Haku came back to his senses and saw that the glass of the ceiling were broken and the masked monster has already escaped. Realizing that he had to do something, Haku started looking towards the mask and realized that Haku was even ready to die if it meant that he can save Miriam, because there was no one other than her who was important. Even when he knew that those who failed to inherit the mask will be devoured by it, he still kept on trying them, thinking that anything was fine even if it gave him powers. A lot of time passes, but Haku was still struggling, dragging himself, leaving a trail of blood while trying all the masks present in the museum, just in the hope that the even one of them would help him gain immense strength so that he can save the love of his life. Miriam was the only one who saved the boy when he was in need, and they were always together since then. But the boy was really ashamed that he can't protect her in the time when she needed him, and this was not fair. But suddenly, Haku snapped back into the present while he saw the strange feather mask, which was still kept at the same spot, not even getting affected by anything which happened in the museum, thinking about the girl for the last time. The boy decided to try this last mask and grabbed and wore it. Suddenly, multiple eyes started opening all around him, and a strange phenomena started occurring inside his body. As Haku was transforming into something new, he realized that the ancient mask really gave immense strength to the one that wears it. And as he opened his eyes, it was as if the boy was completely changed, and someone else has actually possessed him. Meanwhile, we see that the monster was carrying Miriam and jumping into the sky with the help of clouds, getting happy that he had such a good harvest this time. And out of all places, even the monster was shocked because he met with a suitable candidate in a school. He thought that today was his lucky day. He formed multiple clouds and stepped over them to travel, thinking that he would go to his home and peacefully experiment with the masks he had. But suddenly, a red glimmer of light startled the monster, making him shocked. But we see that it was none other than Haku who was wearing the mask, being a completely different person from who he is, rather than the timid boy he was. Haku's face was completely filled with bravery, while he was ready to attack the monster without a care in the world. Even the devil was shocked by the sudden change in behavior, while he was grabbed by his tongue and was thrown away from his cloud, dropping down towards the ground with insane speeds along with the girl. But Haku realized that he will have to grab the girl because it was dangerous. Meanwhile, The monster was not ready to give up, shooting a golden light towards Haku, but somehow, Haku was able to dodge it swiftly, while telling the monster that it was dangerous and he should let the girl go, even when the monster tried to run away while forming multiple clouds for him to step on. Haku was so fast that he was just one cloud behind the monster, almost getting ready to grab him once again and save Miriam from his evil clutches. The monster was getting annoyed because Haku was too persistent, and slowly but surely, the mask was adapting with Haku's physique, giving him a piece of gold and black armor on both of his legs, boosting his speed insanely. Finally, Haku was able to grab the robe which was worn by the masked monster, spinning him like a top and throwing him away. But as the monster was not able to hold the girl, she started falling down onto the ground. Haku had got his priorities straight, and he left the monster by throwing him into the air while running towards the girl, finally catching her before she slammed onto the ground. As Haku reached the building, he started jumping through all of them, somehow able to land with the girl safely, being unscathed even after this deadly confrontation with a man without a face. As adrenaline finally calmed down, Haku wondered about what just happened, because his body was suddenly acting like it was not him, and he was becoming a proficient warrior even when he had not hit anyone his whole life. He knew that at this rate, the mask would possess him. But suddenly, the monster was in the game once again and materialized multiple black mouths, which was looking uglier than his face. The monster was smiling with a devilish grin, telling Haku that no matter what the boy did, the monster can do it better, because he was using the masks way better than a novice who had just awakened it. The monster threw his ominous-looking mouth monsters towards Haku and Miriam, ordering them to grab the girl from the clutches of the obstruction, and as the mouths clashed with the couple, a deafening boom can be heard all over the city. The monster thought that it was all over and waited for the dust and debris to clear up so that he can collect his experimental candidate. But just when the smoke was cleared, he was shocked to see that Haku was unscathed. As a crimson-red aura surrounded one half of his body, he grabbed the monster by his face, slamming him onto the ground and rubbing him through the cemented road, giving him a lot of damage. Haku started jumping through the buildings once again, throwing the monster down from a really good height, wishing to reveal the monster's identity by taking off his mask. But no matter how hard he tried, Haku was not able to take off the mask of the monster. Suddenly, the creature was back in the game, dematerializing itself and transforming into thin clouds, while asking the boy from behind about where he got that feather mask and how he was able to master the mask in such a short time. But the boy was not ready to answer to a strange monster who was after his love all of a sudden, making her an experimental piece. Hearing this, the creature started smiling and laughing ominously, while apologizing to Haku for introducing himself so late. The man grabbed his robe and opened it, telling Haku that he was the merchant of masks. A lot of masks dangled from his robe, which was giving off a strange and ominous feeling. They were straight up created by some kind of psychopath, but the merchant was actually getting happy, telling Haku that he had been searching for someone to inherit a special mask for a very long time. And now that he had found a female, he wanted to take her home so that she can be his next experiment. The monster came in front of Haku without being detected, and he grabbed the lady once again. But this time Haku was not so weak and swiftly grabbed the hand of the monster, twisting it like crazy, as the monster started screaming in pain and agony. A golden glow started appearing on the hands of our boy as a black and gold armor appeared onto them, signifying that Haku was gaining greater control over the powers, while the boy was getting angry, telling the monster for the last time that he should really stop touching Miriam with his filthy hands. The large clock struck 12 at midnight, and we see that the monster was slammed onto the clock by Haku, getting heavily damaged once again. But it was as if the monster was continuously regenerating. Haku landed onto the clock with the girl and started running once again. But the merchant saw the boy and realized that whatever the strange bird mask was, Haku was actually able to master it so fast. In his whole life of being a merchant, the monster had never seen someone master any kind of mask this fast. The creature wondered about who Haku really was and why he was protecting the female so dearly. As Haku was running away with the lady, the merchant started laughing maniacally once again, thinking that he would give up on the female, but the boy should be ready because a lot of people will come after the weapon which he was carrying in his hand. As the scene shifts, we see a strange soldier chief who was ordering someone from a special force, and the man told the chief that even when he rushed at the place of the coordinates, the target was already gone by the time he arrived. The soldier chief called to another person and told him the situation, and we see that it was a middle-aged, muscular man who was also wearing a soldier's uniform, while he told the chief that he will definitely catch the target. He wanted to know from the chief, with a strange smile, if it was okay for the target to be half dead rather than being alive, because then it would be more fun. The man was smiling because he knew that this is going to be fun, while he suddenly made a strange face, turning towards the sky and looking at the crimson moon, thinking that the target cannot get away from the public security force. He turned towards a group of masked soldiers, telling them that the chief was furious and they will need to catch the target before the chief really gets angry. The man started leading the masked force towards the new coordinates, and as the scene shifts, we see that Haku was running the top of large buildings while jumping across them and carrying Miriam in his hands. Suddenly, the girl started showing little movements, and Haku was relieved that Miriam was waking up from her fatigue. As the girl opened her eyes, she was shocked to see that it was Haku who was carrying her, but suddenly, a strange pain emerged inside her head, and Haku gasped, asking the girl if she was okay. The boy decided to get the girl to the nearest hospital, but to his surprise, Miriam denied going to any kind of hospital, telling Haku to drop the plan immediately. She told the boy that he should not contact the hospital or the police in any case. The girl looked around with her half-opened eyes, analyzing the situation, realizing that Haku was the one who helped her from a dangerous situation. But Haku realized that Miriam was not acting like her usual self, thanking the boy for everything he did, and suddenly pushing herself towards the ground, free from the clutches of our boy. The lady wanted Haku to put her down so that she can go away peacefully. But the boy was not ready to do so, jumping down from the building, ready to catch the girl once again. Haku flew with insane speeds while grabbing the hands of the girl and turning himself towards the ground before landing so that Miriam can be safe. Luckily, the couple landed onto a garbage pile, not getting injured whatsoever, and Haku was happy that Miriam was awake once again. But to his surprise, he saw that she was out of it once again, and she did behave strangely because she really did not want to go to the hospital or the police, even when Haku was persistent about it. Things were happening so fast that the boy was not able to comprehend what he should do next. He wondered about why the girl was not ready to take any help, and why the masked monster was after her out of all humans. Haku was really sad, knowing that the only person who cared about him was now in danger, wondering about what was happening inside her body, which was changing her so much. But suddenly, his train of thoughts were interrupted as a phone started ringing from the garbage. Haku realized that it was his own and picked up the call, asking the person about who he was. The scene shifts to a large building, which was the high school building, where both Haku and Miriam studied. Haku carried the girl in the school infirmary and let her rest, while he told someone that they have been of a great help. Haku thanked the person for hiding everything, and we realized that it was none other than the student council president named Urushi, who was having 2 cups of tea on both her hands, telling him that she had already called an ambulance to head to the museum. The president looked at Miriam, telling Haku that she does not have any major injuries, so the boy should let her rest for now. Haku sighed in relief, knowing that Miriam was all right, while the council president offered the cup to the boy, telling him that he was tired too, and that he should take it easy and rest for a while along with Miriam. As Haku was taking the cup from the president's hand, He wondered about why the girl called him so late at night, when she did not even have the boy's number, and they were not even close at all. Added to that, they have not really talked before, even in class. As the council president turned around, her face changed into a dangerously ominous one while she started making stories, telling the boy that she had got a report from people in town that a boy in their school uniform was wandering around outside. And then, she checked the dormitories and came to know that it was Haku and his group. The lady tried to divert the conversation, telling Haku that he was amazing and did a great job protecting Miriam and bringing her to the school infirmary. But just when the boy was getting happy from all the praise by the girl, she started telling Haku that as she wanted to help Miriam too, she had already called the police a while back. The boy spit all the tea from his mouth, telling the council president that Miriam did not want the police to be involved in any case. But the girl slyly turned around, telling Haku that it was fine, as the masked count and other evil forces might come after Miriam once again if whatever Haku was saying was true. And ultimately, it is safer to let the police handle the case along with Miriam, so that she can be safe. Even when Haku felt that this was not right, he thought that maybe the student council president was actually telling the truth. The lady smiled at the boy, telling him to rest, while she will go out and wait for the police to come inside so that she can guide them. But the boy was not ready to leave Miriam, telling the president that he will be there with her. After some time had passed, we see that the boy was deep in thoughts, grabbing the broken mask he had got, realizing that he was so desperate to save Miriam earlier. But now that he thinks about this, he knew that the mask did something to him, and it was not him completely who saved the girl. Even he wanted to know about the reality of the mask and what power it possessed, because such a dangerous mask cannot be kept so carelessly, because if it somehow got into the wrong hands, it would be disastrous. The boy kept the mask in his pocket, while finally deciding to doze off for a little bit, because he was feeling relieved inside his high school. But near the window where the boy was sleeping, a strange person appeared and smiled ominously, while looking at the boy, saying good evening to him with a devilish face. We see that it was none other than the leader of the masked group, who shattered the glasses of the window and entered the infirmary in one go, startling Haku, who was not able to comprehend about what was happening. The man casually smiled after causing such destruction, saying hello to the boy and telling him that he was from the elite public security force. The man just grabbed his ID and showed it to Haku, telling him that he had come up with his team to pick someone important. The whole group left Haku alone and started going towards the room where Miriam was resting, while the boy wondered about what the public security force was doing and where the student council president was. But he knew that something was really, really wrong. Even the police force was not there for him, but for his girl. It took a moment for Haku to realize that the group of soldiers was already near the room of Miriam, as they slammed the bed and grabbed the girl, talking among themselves and telling each other that the package was secured. Haku started screaming at the soldiers, telling them that she was the victim, and still, the police was not going after the real criminal. Haku wondered if the group of soldiers was going to hide Miriam for protection. But hearing these words, the leader of the soldiers just smiled, telling the boy that they were going to hide this girl for sure, and even he would not be able to see her again in his life. Haku was feeling that something was off by every passing second, because he knew that somehow the police force was not as reliable as he thought they would be. He was not able to stop himself from running towards the leader of the soldiers and asking them to stop and wait for a moment. Haku kept on running and got outside of school with the mask still inside his pocket. But the leader was actually getting annoyed by the voice of our boy, flashing his security force badge once again and trying to intimidate the boy, asking him if he even knew who he was up against. The soldier grabbed the collar of the boy, telling him that he was a real public security officer, and if the boy tried something funny, then he will also be arrested for obstruction of justice. The soldier threw Haku several meters away so that he cannot catch up, asking Haku if the man needed to repeat himself. Haku realized that the soldier was not a nice man, who was ready to accuse the boy and the girl for trying to defy the nation, even if they tried to prove that they were innocent. Haku just wanted to know about why everyone was trying to take Miriam away from him when she did not do anything. And even when the soldier did not want to tell it to the boy, he told Haku annoyingly that the girl was targeted by the Safety Commission because she had been declared a criminal. Haku was shocked when he heard this news, wondering about how the girl he loved can be a criminal, even when she did not do anything. Further, she was the victim, being attacked by the masked count who heavily injured her. But hearing that, the leader of the masked force started laughing maniacally, confusing the boy even further, who wanted to know about why the man was laughing. The leader started scratching his head in amusement, wondering about how the boy got to know about the masked count when they tried to hide it so well. Not able to understand anything, Haku questioned the leader once again and getting annoyed by it. The man grabbed the girl like she was not a human and just a thing to use, telling Haku that Miriam was actually a really dangerous weapon. But Haku had already known about Miriam since childhood and did not even comprehend about what the soldier was talking about, thinking that maybe they were the ones who were not grasping the seriousness of the situation. But according to the soldier, Haku was just a milk drinker kid in the world of adults, and he does not need to know the complexity of the situation. The soldier grabbed Haku by his mouth, smiling at him devilishly, while telling him that from now onwards, Haku should not interfere into the world of adults, because no matter how hard he tries, he cannot comprehend the complex world. The soldier turned around along with the girl, telling Haku that he will remember the boy's face, calling him as cannon fodder, telling him that Haku will be a criminal too if he decided to go against the public security force once again. The soldier started going away from the boy along with his masked force. But Haku was in a great dilemma, wondering about how such an innocent and cute girl can be declared a criminal and how Haku can go against the nation when he was just demanding justice from the police. Being a criminal meant that the person would be arrested for treason, or he will be given capital punishment for felony or maybe some kind of hideous act. But neither Haku nor Miriam were doing any such kind of thing, and added to that, Miriam being a weapon was completely incomprehensible to the boy. Finally, he decided that as the world was going to take his happiness away, in the name of maintaining safety, he had no way to protect the one he loves, other than fighting these immoral humans who were doing as they pleased. Haku grabbed the mask once again, wearing it and embracing the power it was giving to Haku for protecting his loved ones. He decided to not care about anything at all, making his priorities straight once again and deciding to protect the girl no matter what. Just in a few moments, Haku was ready as he jumped towards the leader and grabbed the girl away from his hands. A black and gold armor emerged and covered both of his legs so that he can run with insane speeds. He grabbed the lady and started running insanely fast, but suddenly he realized that behind him was the leader of the group, wearing another one of the masks and catching up to Haku in just a matter of seconds, asking him about what he thought he was doing. The man slammed the ground beneath Haku as the boy was somehow able to dodge this ferocious attack, wondering about how the man became so powerful. Haku stopped himself from falling and somehow protected the girl from going into the clutches of the leader, while the man was getting angry, catching up to Haku every time and slamming the ground beneath him in the hope of hitting him with his ferocious punch for just one time. The leader was annoyed as he took off his mask, wondering about why the boy was having one of it too, and how he was able to control this mask so flawlessly when he was just cannon fodder. Hearing these words, Haku was surprised, wondering about who the leader was referring to, because the white-haired child from earlier was not present at the moment, and it was the mask which was talking to the leader. After hearing these words coming out from the boy, the leader realized that the situation was getting out of hand, and a strange red aura started engulfing the man, while he decided to give Haku a death penalty by beating him up like crazy, so that he can enjoy the situation before Haku gets taken away by the other soldiers. Realizing that Haku cannot take the soldier head-on, he decided that there was no need for him to fight, and he just needed to protect the lady and run with his fastest speed. But even when Haku was running with all his might, the soldier wore his mask once again and caught up with the boy in just a matter of seconds, grabbing his collar and throwing him along with the lady with all the power he had. It was as if the leader was actually enjoying this psychotic behavior, throwing Haku like a cricket ball, slamming him onto the nearby wall. Haku had to take all the impact by himself because he did not want Miriam to get injured while she was sleeping. But the leader was not letting the boy breathe, emerging from all the dust and smoke while getting ready to punch the boy with another ferocious right uppercut. As the man slammed onto the wall like lightning, we see that Haku dodged the attack in just the nick of time, somehow getting away from the serious danger he was in, while wondering about how the leader was so fast, because it was not something that a human can do. But he realized that maybe the mask which the leader wore was not just for show, and it was giving him immense power too. Meanwhile, the leader started laughing maniacally, telling Haku that the mask he was wearing was actually useless. But the boy ignored the man, and instead started strategizing about how he should escape from this nasty situation, because Miriam was not waking up, and there was no other choice for Haku but to run with her. Meanwhile, as we come to know the leader's perspective, we know that he was just smiling from the inside, knowing that Haku was just a child who did not even hit a bully in his school life. And due to it, the man knew how to deal with this situation. The man was playing dirty, deciding to punch the girl instead of the boy. And Haku realized this by the man's posture, immediately picking up Miriam by both of his hands and bracing the impact of the punch head-on, as he started coughing blood due to the serious injury that he had got from just one punch. The man already knew that Haku would do something like that, praising the boy and calling him a gentleman, while telling him to stop trying to act cool in front of his girlfriend because he would be saying his farewells to the lady soon enough. But this made Haku snap into anger while he realized that instead of saying farewell to the only girl who cared about him, he should fight until he dies. Just then, we see that the mask, which was having two eyes till now, had opened a third one, signifying that it was giving more power to Haku, and he was having more control over his new-found powers. Haku started engulfing himself into a crimson-red aura, while everyone from the public safety group realized that the boy was powering up like crazy. The leader knew that he is going to really get crushed if he did not do something, while we see that Haku calmly put the girl down, telling her to have a rest for some time while he got ready to fighting that man. We see that the mask was giving more power to him as both of his hands were completely engulfed into the gold and black armor. The boy was frustrated because the leader was actually doing wrong things, and then he was justifying it by using the name of public safety in trying to make himself look better in the eyes of others. As the scene shifts, we see that the student council president was going towards the room inside the museum, and even she was carrying a mask with her which was glowing with a freezing aura around it, revealing that even she was one of the overpowered humans due to the mask. The scene shifts back to the fight, which was happening between Haku and the leader of the masked force. The man was really annoyed, wondering about why a cannon fodder like Haku was wearing such a powerful mask. He was even clashing with the man head-to-head without much power difference. The man snapped, not able to control his anger as he used the full power of his mask, and his right hand blew out of proportion due to the strength which was given to him. The man was ready to kill Haku with just one punch as a strange aura surrounded his mask. He was asking the boy about what he was, being able to control a new mask in just a few hours near perfectly. But Haku was just standing there calmly while he started moving his hands towards the man, telling him to stop. Otherwise, he will hit Miriam with his big fists. Haku just calmly blocked one of the most powerful attacks of the leader and just deflected the whole attack into a complete new direction, making the man lose his balance like crazy and slamming down onto the ground. He was not even able to understand about how Haku was able to do so. Meanwhile, inside the boy's head, he was constantly doing multiple calculations, using his nerdy brain and deducing a discovery that whenever the bird mask was opening one of its eyes, Haku was gaining even more powers. The mask was giving him an insane enhancement in his physical abilities, along with gaining an insane level of sharpness in all his senses. Haku was able to predict all the moves which was going to be taken by the leader even before they happened. It was as if something strange was stirring inside him, and he knew that this kind of power was similar to anger. But still, the mask was driving, with something more than anger. It was more of a resolve to protect the only girl who cared about him, and this resolve was so strong that multiple eyes kept on opening so that Haku can protect Miriam at all costs. The boy jumped towards the leader, grabbing his mask while asking him if his mask was also working in the same way. The boy realized that the man would lose all his supernatural abilities once his mask is taken off from his face. So this time, Haku decided to target the mask instead of the man and grabbed it while slamming the leader away, throwing the mask straight into the air while the man slammed down onto the ground. Haku jumped in the sky and broke the mask with one of his punches, completely decimating it and erasing it out of existence without a second thought. The leader was shocked by this behavior of Haku, screaming at him and telling him to not interfere into the business of public safety. He thought that Haku was breaking laws again and again for his girlfriend. Hearing the term girlfriend, even the boy stopped for a moment and wondered if she really was his girlfriend, finally realizing that Miriam was even more important to him than just being a normal girlfriend. But as the boy was constantly thinking about the girl, he stopped and realized that he was in between a fight, knowing that first he should have to deal with the threat which the leader possessed. Haku came back to the fight he was in, and as the leader was screaming at him to tell him that this adult world was not for him to step in, Haku just got ready with an insane kick and slammed one of his legs for distorting the face of the leader, who was always spouting nonsense without even taking a break. This kick was so ferocious that the leader flew off multiple blocks away, and even the whole masked force wondered about what happened to their leader. We come to know from all his subordinates that the leader was actually named Oliver. But knowing the name now was not beneficial for anyone, because he was already down. The force decided to take up arms and defeat the boy, even if it meant using guns. But as the soldiers saw Haku, his face looked like it was completely possessed in anger and resolve, which was given to him by the mask. It was as if Haku was using some kind of hockey, which was making all the soldiers unable to move, while they realized that all of them were going to be crushed if they don't do anything. But opposite to what everyone thought, Haku turned towards Miriam and just smiled at her, telling her that they should run away together when the girl will be conscious once again. We see that even Haku was not unscathed from all the punches which were given to him by the leader, and multiple drops of blood got splattered onto the face of the lady. Haku saw this and realized that he dirtied the girl's cute face, apologizing to her and deciding to wipe it. But just then, Miriam woke up from unconsciousness and saw Haku, who was completely beaten up. Even when the boy did not care about what happened to him, Miriam was shocked when she saw her friend completely battered up. She was struck with horror while she started looking all around her and saw that Haku was bleeding and the leader was completely unconscious after being thrown towards the wall. At first, the lady thought that maybe she was the one who did all of this. But Haku started screaming at her, telling her that he was the one who did it, and Miriam was completely innocent. But suddenly, the couple heard a strange voice coming inside their heads, who told everyone that the girl was awake. The masked force decided to kill the girl to erase any evidence. But just then, all of them froze into their places suddenly, while a thick layer of ice engulfed them. At first, it was only one soldier who was going to attack the girl. But then, slowly, it was all of them, as a strange voice told the members that they were not ordered to kill the girl, but to capture her alive. All the soldiers immediately saluted the owner of the voice, and we come to know that they were saluting to the director, who was none other than the student council president of the school, where both Haku and Miriam studied. The boy was shocked after this revelation, not able to comprehend about what was happening. But before he can question the council president, he was completely frozen into thick ice by the girl. Even the soldiers knew that the director was not supposed to expose herself in front of the students, but she just took off her mask, telling the soldiers to take the girl away. But before that, she started going towards Miriam, telling her that she had been waiting for the girl to wake up for a long time. The council president grabbed the girl by her face, removing a drop of sweat from it, and congratulating Miriam for awakening, calling her as the child of the first generation. The scene shifts to a dark alley, where a strange man with a cloth mask was going somewhere inside a meeting with a lot of chairs. The man started speaking to the persons who were sitting ahead of him, telling them that he had got a report that finally a child of the first generation has awakened. Hearing this, all the people who were talking to each other stopped and looked at the man who was reporting. These men were having only one eye on their face instead of their real identity, and these people were known as the chiefs of the 30 tribes. Hearing this news, one of the chiefs started thinking and asked the reporter if the Noids knew about the child of the first generation, and another female chief started telling everyone that the Noids were yellow pests who always get in the way, and they should just get burned together by someone so that they can stop causing trouble for the 13 chiefs. But it was not possible because these people always change their place of working, and they are too resilient. But the main fact of the matter was that the first-generation children have started appearing. One of the chief was an old man who cut the connection from the meeting hall and came back to his senses inside his room. He stood up while telling one of his subordinates that he should head out and have a check on the situation by himself. But his subordinate told him that the student council president was already on his way with the child of the first generation. But the old man was not ready, telling his group that they should go and pick the girl up from London by themselves. We see that behind the old man, two men who were also wearing weird masks, which gave them immense powers. The scene shifts back to the high school rooftop, where we see that Haku was completely frozen inside the thick layer of ice. He was not able to move, not even breathing properly. He knew that at this rate, he was really going to freeze to death before he can find Miriam. Haku was feeling cold again, and this feeling of intense cold and loneliness was killing him, as he was going deep into the grasps of darkness, while remembering his past, where he was always bullied by his foster parents, when he was accused of putting something bad into the food that he made for them. The foster mother was so harsh on him that she started abusing the little boy, even when he continuously told the lady that he had made the food in the same way that the lady had taught him. But the lady was not ready to listen to the boy who was trying to tell the female that it was her two children who actually made the food taste completely bad by adding something to it in secret. The lady was getting annoyed by every passing second, while the two children started smiling with a devilish look on their faces. Haku tried to prove his innocence again and again, but the lady stopped the boy from talking back to her, while asking him about why he was picked up when he was abandoned. The lady wanted the boy to work properly if he wanted to eat his meal on the next day, because for today, he was not going to leave the dark room for punishment. Meanwhile, both the children ran towards their mother, seeing the demise of Haku and enjoying it to its fullest, while the lady looked at Haku with such disgust that the little boy started shivering down to his core. Haku slammed down onto the ground while continuously apologizing to the lady and even the children, asking them to not leave him alone. Meanwhile, the lady was offering the children to have a cake together because the soup was completely spoiled, and we come to know that the children did such a disgusting thing to their foster brother just so they can eat cake without him, because they did not like their mother to even pay attention to her foster child. Haku was feeling all alone, while apologizing to the lady and the children for the whole night. But they straight up ignored the agonizing cries of the boy and got to bed, leaving Haku alone inside the dark room, where he was always scared as he waited for the time to pass. One fine day, Haku thought that it was enough as he was not able to bear with the treatment he was getting anymore. And when everyone was asleep, he decided to wear his second-hand shoes and run away from his foster home. Even when it was a chilly weather and snow was heavily falling onto him, Haku decided to sit on the bench near a telephone booth and pass the whole night there, while he opened up a cute crayon drawing that he made of his mother. He started having a flashback inside a flashback, where even his mother left him, not able to take care of him. Even when Haku cried and cried again and again and again for his mother to come back, but she did not come. Suddenly, Haku saw the same white hair that his mother possessed, and ran towards the lady, grabbing her dress and asking her with her smile if she was his mother, and if she had really came back. But the lady turned around with the same disgusting look that his foster mother always gave him. This look made Haku shiver from fear, and he immediately left the dress of the lady in fear of getting beaten. Meanwhile, the man who accompanied the lady told her that she should not get involved with such filthy children. But hearing this made Haku finally cry his heart out, apologizing to the lady, along with everyone who was staring at him. It was really a heart-wrenching scene where Haku just wanted all the other humans to not look at him with such cold eyes, because he did not do something wrong with them. The cute boy just wanted to be loved like everyone else, and he did not want them to leave him alone. But suddenly, a yellow scarf flew towards Haku, and two gentle hands covered the face of the boy with that piece of clothing, while a cute voice asked him if he was feeling too cold, or if he was going to die from the cold. It was the first time when Haku had met with Miriam, who was looking like an angel, who had come to save the boy from his despair. The girl told the boy that even when she can't take the boy home with her, the yellow scarf can help Haku to make it till morning. The girl was carrying a yellow umbrella with her, while Haku was mesmerized by the girl. She was happy that Haku was not feeling cold anymore, while she told the boy that yellow suits him really well. Miriam also decided to give the umbrella she was carrying to the boy so that he can protect himself from the snow. This gesture from a cute girl really touched the heart of our boy. As Miriam turned around and waved her hand, saying goodbye to the boy, Haku immediately told the girl to wait for a second, asking her if she was really an angel in the form of a human. This made the girl turn around and smile cutely while blushing, and this view made Haku stop crying for the night. The scene shifts back to the present, where the boy was almost ready to hibernate inside the thick ice structure. We get the close-up of the boy, who knew that he cannot be struck in a place like this, when he actually needed to get up and chase after the student council president so that he can save Miriam. Haku was trying his best to stay conscious, even when the cold was making him sleepy. But after a while, Haku was feeling a warm sensation all of a sudden, and this warmth made Haku wake up once again, while he looked around him and saw that all the ice around him was thawing due to the heat which was getting produced by some source. Haku was shocked to see that fire was engulfing him, but it was not too hot to burn him. Haku found and looked at the source while in shock, because it was a man who was controlling the fire. The strange man told Haku that usually there is a beautiful lady who is always sleeping beneath the thick ice, but even a boy is fine in the current situation. The man just turned around and smiled at Haku, while the boy saw that the stranger was also having a peculiar mask with him. The stranger just wanted to know from Haku if he was feeling warmer now that he is out of the thick ice. Haku was really shocked, having multiple questions inside his mind, but before he can even ask them, he saw that nearly half of his uniform was almost burned due to the fire which almost reached him. He screamed with all his might, which made the stranger notice that Haku was almost going to get burned. The man immediately took off his mask, and the flame disappeared, while Haku thought that he was really going to die in this situation. But the stranger just smiled, telling the boy that he can't control the fire and the mask's power well enough yet. Haku just grabbed his breath once again while wiping off his sweat and asking the stranger about who he was. Getting asked for his introduction, the man started smiling as he took out his glasses and told Haku to remember this handsome face because he was called Cho. The man only told Haku his name, telling him that the rest of the things about him were a secret because mysterious men were more popular than the ones who reveal everything. The man apologized for surprising Haku while asking him if he knew about some girl with the yellow bandana. Haku got multiple shocks inside his head as he immediately took off his mask and wore it once again, maintaining his distance with Cho as he realized that this man was also chasing Miriam. At first, Haku thought that maybe the stranger also wanted to hurt the lady, asking him about why everyone was trying to get their hands on her. But Cho was shocked to know that Haku was also going after the lady. Haku was actually getting restless, and even when the man started explaining about why he wanted to meet her, Haku almost punched the guy into his chest before he can speak any further, but Cho was an experienced fighter, flipping the boy immediately onto his sides as Haku got slammed onto the ground and was hurt pretty badly. He immediately realized that fighting Cho was useless because this person was powerful even without a mask. After slamming Haku onto the ground, Cho sat down onto the boy's chest while asking him about his relation with the girl. Hearing that, Haku flustered while telling the man that it was none of his business. But just by looking at his face, the man realized that the boy was madly in love with the girl, and he got up smiling. Hearing these words coming out from the mouth of a stranger, Haku was really having a red face, not able to believe that he was fully exposed to someone he did not even know. Cho started explaining to Haku that there were signs of struggle everywhere, which meant that maybe Miriam got kidnapped. The man told Haku that they were looking for the same thing so they should become friends, as it would be a lot easier to find her together. At first, Haku was really happy, because it was his first time that someone other than the lady wanted to become his friend. Now, even after getting the offer, Haku was finding it difficult to believe the man, because he knew that he cannot be tempted by some stranger's sweet words. He had already mistaken the student council president as a good human being, and he did his biggest mistake by trusting her, and now he did not even know who was a friend or who was an enemy anymore. Even when Haku did not want to, he had to reject the friend request given to him by Cho. He just turned towards the man, thanking him for helping the boy. But he knew that if the man was after Miriam, then they can't be together. Both the boy and the man were still talking, but suddenly they were interrupted by a lot of army soldiers who were finally able to find both Haku and Cho together. The boy was really getting annoyed by the constant interruption that he was having due to the police. But Cho just smiled at Haku, realizing that now he was also declared a criminal, just like the man. Haku was shocked to know that the police was not after him, but after Cho instead. The man playfully told the soldiers that they were really rude. Finally, he wanted Haku to choose if he wanted to search together and make everything easy for him, including the escape from these soldiers, or he can always find the girl alone. But then he would not actually be able to learn so easily about what his mask can do. Haku was in a deep dilemma, but he realized that out of everyone who kept looking at him like a disgusting being, Cho was not looking at him like that and was instead having a friendly aura around him. The boy knew that the man was not having those ice-cold eyes, so he finally had a determined look on his face, agreeing to be friends with the man. Meanwhile, the soldiers were ready with their guns out, but Cho was unexpectedly happy, informing Haku that now they have formed an alliance. He wanted Haku to sit back and relax while his big brother teaches him about how to properly use a mask. The general ordered all his soldiers to fire at will because it was okay to kill both the criminals. But now it was too late, and everyone was doomed, because Cho has already started using the mask and had summoned the crowned Agni to materialize in front of him. The man was engulfed in such ferocious flames that even bullets cannot touch him. The flames were so hot that the bullets kept on melting before they can even reach the man, and everything was happening in just a split of a second. We see that Cho was having crimson-red eyes and was engulfing all the flame inside of him, while he told Haku to listen to the voice of the mask which was calling out to him and awaken his power from the depths of darkness. Cho was using a staff which was materialized for him by the fire as a weapon, and with every single strike, Cho was able to decimate all the soldiers who were coming towards them, materializing a big fire tornado and sweeping out the whole soldier army in just a few moments. Haku was not able to do anything other than just standing and covering his eyes due to the intense heat which was generated by Cho's insane firepower. Finally, after everything was finished and the dust and debris was clear, Cho turned towards Haku, telling him that he needed to awaken his power. But before that, he needed to become a brave boy, because from there on out, Cho was going to teach Haku about how to chase his dream girl by mastering the limitless power which was inside his mask, because he was just getting started. As the scene shifts after the massacre, we can see that both Cho and Haku were riding a motorcycle owned by the man as he was driving like an experienced rider with insane speeds. But Haku noticed that Cho was talking with someone on the phone, wondering about who he was talking to. But whoever it was, Cho told the person that Haku's friend was probably taken away by the team. After cutting the call, the man told Haku to listen to him properly because they don't have enough time to chit-chat. Even Haku was ready to listen because it was about his mask and all the other masks in general. Cho informed Haku that even when he was using the mask, his transformation was too weak, and every mask was having its own name, and the bird mask was named Kabuli, who transforms into a masked weapon, helping the host in gaining impressive physical and mental strength. As to where it came from and how it was made, everything was a complete mystery, and no one knows about it. Cho further added that even when it was completely mysterious, both of them just needed to figure out a way to use Kabuli properly, because this mask matches the genes of the user. All this genetic talk suddenly made Haku completely shocked, while Cho started explaining to him that after analyzing the genetic information of the host, any kind of mask recognizes them if they are compatible with it, and then it awakens some kind of sealed genetic information inside the human, which can make them materialize various elements like ice or even spit flames from their stomach. As for Kabuli and Haku, they always become stronger and stronger the more eyes kept on opening in the mask. After explaining this much, Cho told Haku to ignore all the difficult bits, and just remember that Kabuli and him were linked genetically, and if the boy wanted to become even stronger than he already is, then he needed to follow the connection which was genetically connecting both of them together. Haku was really confused at first, wondering about what the connection was, but he knew that it was a really deep-rooted one because even he felt it sometimes. Wondering about genetics, Haku remembered his mother and almost started crying while he grabbed his mask once again. Cho informed Haku that Miriam was being targeted due to this genetic mutation too. Hearing about Miriam, Haku was hearing this whole conversation with intense focus, but before Cho can tell him about anything more, many vehicles started pursuing them. At first, Cho thought that these vehicles belonged to the clingy police force, who were never stopped for a break. But suddenly, he looked at the bonnet of one of the cars and realized that the situation was now going to get a little more troublesome, because the people who were following them were from the public security. Haku turned around wondering about how these people were also wearing a mask, but Cho informed to the boy that what they were wearing was just called a replica, on which the government was researching, so that they can mass-produce it and give it to the whole army. Cho suggested that they should stop and fight with the public security officers first, but to his surprise, Haku told the man to not stop and keep on driving, while he jumped out of the bike and used Kabuli once again, deciding to catch up to Miriam quickly. Haku took whatever Cho said to him by heart and started feeling the mask and its energy, trying to follow the connection deep within the boy. Haku slammed the officer by one insane kick, but it was blocked by the man who was ready with a punch. Haku jumped away onto the bonnet of another car, and he started running and jumping towards the officer once again, while still feeling his genetic mutation and opening another eye in the process, slamming the front of one car and making it stop while clashing with multiple other vehicles, causing a huge explosion in between the highway. The soldier was somehow able to jump out of the explosion, wondering about what Haku was doing, but the officer immediately stood up, calling out to the boy so that they can fight head-to-head. But Haku was not afraid of the soldier as he ran with insane speeds, blowing away all the dust and debris in his way due to the intense pressure, which was created by his high-speed sprint. Haku grabbed the mask of the soldier and broke it with just one punch, as he was still following the deeper connection and was almost able to open the third eye to 50%. But before it can completely open, the whole fight was finished, and Haku had to run towards Chu, who was still riding the bike. The other two eyes closed immediately after the fight was over, but as Haku caught up to Cho, the man was really impressed by the speed of the boy, complimenting him and telling him that he did great. As Haku jumped onto the bike once again, Cho wanted to know from him about the duration from which he was using the mask. Haku calmly told the man that he was using it since last night. At first, Cho just smiled, but when he actually comprehended about what the boy meant, he was blown away, screaming at Haku and telling him to not lie to him, because he knew that no matter how much the mask suited the boy, he cannot master it to this extent by just using it for one day. As he turned around, the man saw that Haku was already asleep due to the fatigue, but he realized that the speed of adaptation was abnormal, because it usually takes years for an individual to get to this level. Cho opened up his phone and realized that both the girl and the boy were completely different, and his luck was really going to get turned if he was together with them. After a while, Cho called out to Haku, telling him that he had something to tell him about Miriam. Hearing the girl's name, Haku immediately got up from the man's back, asking the man about what it was. Eventually, Cho realized that Haku will always give him a good reaction if the talk would be about Miriam. Finally, the man started revealing about the reason why everyone was aiming for her. Haku wondered about the same thing for the whole night, because even the masked count and the public security force was after Miriam. Cho revealed that the girl was called a child of the first generation, and this girl was so rare that she is counted in a forbidden species, because she was one of the only few that can fit into the primordial Gabri,